Hi, welcome back to Recycled Model Railways. I'm Paul. So, as you've seen by the picture, oh my god, somebody else has done teak coaches. Yeah, I know. I put it on because I thought I'd done it a bit differently. It's the same effect. Done it a little bit differently, and done it all by hand so that people who don't want to strip them, can't strip them, or don't have an airbrush can see that it is possible. But oh my god, did it take a long time. 16 coaches with 3 coats of stain on them before anything else. So, this video might look a little disjointed. I have filmed bits when I've remembered to over God knows how many of the last few weeks, when I've had time. But at the very end, in case I've missed something, in case you watch and think you didn't explain this or you didn't explain that, I'll do a roundup right at the very end of the video, just so I make sure I've covered everything, what I've done, how, where from, blah blah blah. Anyway, shut up Paul, let the people watch. Hope you enjoy, catch you in a bit. So, first things first, I have not tried this in advance. You are going to watch me doing it, and if it goes horribly wrong, which I have a feeling it will, then so be it. It goes wrong, and I'll take the crap for it off whoever wants to throw it. So, I've watched a lot of videos on this. I completely see the point, because let's be honest, these things look like plastic toys. I do want teaks to pull behind my Flying Scotsman. I do like the idea of making them look a little more realistic, so I'm going to give it a shot. There's my choice. Out of my shed, as you can see, not a brand new tin because it's rusty as hell, and my daughter's busy giving me the thumbs up. Ronseal 10-year wood stain, antique pine, so it's a stain, not a varnish. So how's it gonna go? Well, I've seen, like I said, lots of different people trying different things, and for some weird reason I've got it into my head that this might work, and then again it might not. It might not apply very well, or it might not look right, who knows. But let's give it a shot, because these coaches were £6 a pop, and if I bugger it up, not a problem, I'll buy a replacement. So clearly we're going to get rid of 2, and we're going to deal with 1, just the 1. We're going to see how this goes, blow by blow. You will get to see, as I've said, and you will also find out whether it goes awfully terribly wrong, which kind of thinking it's gonna. So this could be worth a laugh to watch, just so you can watch the idiot cock it up. Anyway, let me get on with it, and I'll get ready, and I'll literally show you me painting these things and how it works out in a second. Well, here goes nothing. My first comment when I took the lid off was, wow, that's brown. Let's see. Now obviously the coach has been cleaned. I've used a wet wipe with isopropyl on it, let it dry, and now we're going to get cracking. Why clean it? Well, because you don't know where it's been, you don't know if there's any grease on it or anything else which would affect your paint. So stop talking, Paul, and let's see if you're about to make a really big mistake. Here goes. So far so good. It's very easy to apply, but then again, it is not a varnish, it's a stain, so it flows quite well. I suppose if anything, the only thing I would say is that it's going to be really easy for it to pull up and to leave a bit of a mess, especially on the bottoms of the likes of here. It's wanting to pull, and likewise when you get the bottom of these, it's wanting to pull. Now I did honestly deliberately put too much on my brush there, just for the sake of proving the point that it's easy to cock this up. But so far, I don't know if you can see the difference. Well, if I get the right light on it, yeah, you can. There is a difference. Oh, can we see the difference? Well, let's put them next to each other. Is there a difference? Well, I can see there's a difference. Can you? I would hope that you can. There is a difference. This top one is clearly darker than this bottom one. So let's plod on. We may apply a second coat, and we may just apply certain panels to give that differentiation in what would have been real grain. So we'll come back to you in a bit. Okay, so I'm bringing you back in for a quick look. So let me pop out the way. This is what we're looking like now. So we put 2 coats on of the Ronseal Wood Stain Antique Pine. So they've had 2 full coats, and what I've done here, I've just gone on in certain places for a 3rd time. So I'm going to wait and see how it dries. I can kind of see where I've put the 3rd coat on. I don't know whether you can tell on the camera, but I wanted different shades on it. So I'm honest, this has surprised me. It's been a lot better than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be a complete nightmare and go completely wrong, but at the moment it seems to be working. So as you all know, because I whinge about it every time, I hate these couplings. Can't stand them. I know they do the job and I know what they were designed for, but I bloody hate them. So they're all going to get NEM pockets fitted with magnetic connectors, and I have got what I think are some very trick magnetic connectors that I found on eBay. I'm not going to put them on yet because I haven't touched them, I haven't tried them, but the concept seems clever. So getting these off, let me see if you can see. Snippers in, go back against the bogie, snip, snip, off. Let this, if you can see that, let this hook come over onto the wheels because it's easier to just pull out, and that's it. So that's only one of the things you haven't seen so far, was me removing these god awful things. I need to stop going on about it, don't I, because I moan about them all the time. Oh, we've got an awkward one. There we go. And that's it. That's all we're going to do. So we're going to chop them off on every single one and make sure that we've got that. We might have to take this off here, that little ridge thing there, to mount the NEM pockets on. Might have to take one of the ridges off. It might not be that far off being centre when you put the pocket on, but we'll see. Thing I have noticed with these coats is a lot of differentiation. This one is currently running black plastic wheels with white rims, and I've got ones with metal lock. I've also noticed that some of these things are black all the way across here. Some of them are black here. Sorry, teak colour here, like the sides were, but a black door. So whatever it's been, one way or another, they've had to become teak all the way around. So in some cases we've had to use our special paint that Isabel made on both sides of this, and in some cases we've just had to use Isabel's paint to do the centre of the door so that at least it looked like teak. So I'm going to jump off. I'm going to set up to do some underframe painting. I'm just using this Real Match Frame Dirt. I was using it yesterday. I'll need to put a bit more thinners in it today because it was going a bit gloopy at the end, so that's because the air's getting to it. So we'll do a little bit of thinners in that, and I'll bring you back and just quickly, you know, hand brush the paint onto the frame, just so that you can see that although it's a lot longer, you can do it by hand if you're patient. So we'll be back in a sec when I'm ready to do that. Right, come back in just for a second. I've put 1 coat of stain on every vehicle before applying any transfers. You all know you need a gloss surface to put them on, or you see the backing paper. This stain I'm using provides a gloss surface, so therefore I've got what I need. So just a little tip for you. I mean, not everybody is as stupid as I am, or I hope they're not, but I spent a bit of time online looking for coach numbers for these, because obviously, as we've said before, Hornby just produces a couple of numbers for this and a couple of numbers for that and just mass produces it. So I've got 16 coaches here in total. Both the Slayton cars have got the same number, every brake coach has got the same number, and the regular coaches there's a choice of 2. So obviously I've kept some of the original, but all in all I've got, let me think about it, 12 coaches that I've had to renumber. So I sat and researched, and then today I've sat down to put my transfers on from Fox and got them out the bag, because they arrived and I just put them in my transfer box. I got them out the bag to realise that Fox Transfers have done their homework, and not only do they provide you a list of individual numbers, but they provided you with a pre-printed coach set. So 4-digit numbers for the brake coaches, 4-digit numbers for the sleeping cars, which I'm guessing start with a 1, and then loads of pre-printed numbers for the regular coaches. So I wasted my time. So don't make the mistake I did. Fox Transfers are obviously more on the ball than I am, and I've already thought about it for you. So I'm on to my last coach now. I've just about put the last set of coach number on, and then after that, what I've done in an effort to try and speed this up a little bit is I've divided them into 2 rakes of 8. So what I'm going to do is work on 1 rake and try and get it to completion, because I've still got a fair way to go. Still have quite a lot to do generally. I think I've got 3 coaches in the first rake of 8. Right, where are we at with the Gresley critiques? These have kind of featured in an update not long ago, whenever that was, because I'm doing this all at once. So some of these coaches have been stained and some have not, but I hated the white roofs, don't like the white at all. I went in and finished with the easiest thing for me based on my final result: primer. Whack primer on it, it's grey, coach roofs were grey, whack primer on it, because the next thing I'm going to do is weather it with some Humbrol smoke powder. I'm going to weather each of them down. I've got 7 sitting behind, 7 in total. Weather them all off with smoke, matte varnish it. When I've done that bit, or maybe when I'm doing the weathering, I'll come back on. Right, the teak coaches weathering. Done a little trial off camera first with this. Well, can't see if it's focusing or not, don't know. Humbrol smoke. It's too light for these, if you look. It is a fairly light grey. Far too light to do these. Gonna save that smoke colour over there. Gonna save that for the tops of the Intel fish ones. So we've got black. Now if you look, we've got one done and one fresh. So now you see why I went for the light grey, because by the time I put the sooty black, or whatever you want to call it, by the time I put the black on, it just leaves that little bit of lightness underneath that I'm happy with for where it's settled. So let's have a go at doing one on camera now that I've decided what I'm using. So I've got my beauty brush, and I bought myself off Amazon. So we're just going to use one of these big dumpy brushes, and I'm just literally just chucking it on, and then when it's on I need to compress it in a little bit and then flick it side to side, because in the real world the coaches have got curved roofs, and when the rain hits it they'll fall sideways down the coach. Now I know you can see on camera right now we've got light bit, light bit, light bit, light bit, light bit, light bit, and then the rest is dark. But that's what I want. I don't want it uniform. I don't want it all looking the same, and to be honest with you, the way that I'm throwing it on, you've got absolutely no chance of making it look uniform whatsoever. No chance at all, because of the way I'm throwing it on. And there you go. There, weathered roof, done. Thinners in, and then the little sketch plan. Drop it in, give it a whisk up. We don't throw paint everywhere, etc., which is great. And then to clean the paint, I am literally using this. I think again, bought off Amazon. You can probably buy it in pound shops. Anything that's a nil varnish remover. Bit on the cloth, wipe that, comes off perfect. I do the same thing to clean my brushes as well. I kind of hold on to my thinners for thinning paint, not for cleaning brushes or anything else. So we're ready to go. So Humbrol detail brush is all I'm going to use. Bring my paint into play, load my brush up because it's the first time using the brush today, so I need to know that it's wet all the way through. And then let's see how close up I can get here. Close enough. So all I'm going to do is literally just start lashing it on. So I'm picking out any detail that is being shown down the side of the carriage, which you'll probably have noticed on the ones I have just shown. Get these boxes in. I'm not worried about the paint being too heavy, because all this crap that would be underneath it would also be very heavy. Okay folks, another quick update. So here we're looking at, I know I did a separate little video on buying these jigs because I think they're brilliant, but I bought some more because obviously I'm working on 16 coaches, and I still haven't bought enough, because technically I should have bought enough to do half of them at a time, although I did previously do 8 wheels which are in a container behind me. So as I explained on the other video, they literally come in 3 parts. Glue them together. If I'm going to give you one little tip, it would be that when you glue them together, pinch them in a little bit and let them set where they're not actually vertical, they're leaning in a little bit like that, because then they've got a certain amount of spring, they have a certain amount of spring in them, which you've got to pop open, feed the 2 middle ones in, then feed the end ones in, and they'll clamp onto them. You don't have to do it that way because none of mine are, but I've realised now that maybe I should have been doing that from day one. You'll see here I've got a couple with masking tape on. That's nothing at all to do with the jigs. Some of the wheels in these two with the masking tape, as you can probably see there, the back-to-backs are off. So I've had to use duct tape, masking tape rather, just to pull them together a little bit in an effort to keep the wheels in. But chuck them in, throw your paint at it, and then when it's dry, like these are, quick blow over with some matte varnish, matte lacquer, whatever you want to call it, and that's it. Now, yes, when you take them apart, if you're heavy with the paint, you will get paint bleeding through, so don't be heavy. However, with the spray varnish, you ain't got a choice, it's gonna go in. So every one of these wheels I'm gonna clean, but when I took them off, I noticed that every one of them were quite dirty, had marks on. So I'm not worried about getting anything on them because I'm going to run the wire wheel around them and get all the rubbish off, so that when they go back on the train, they're absolutely pristine. Now, I've got a question for you because I have no idea on this. Right, let me see if the camera can pick this up. I don't want to take them out of the thing because they're still full of varnish. I don't know whether you can tell, but that end one there, right there, that axle is square, and there's quite a few of them have got square axles, and I'm at a total loss to understand why you've got square axles like this one. I don't get it. I've got to have to be careful when I put them back on, because I think I've mentioned it in the video that after I release this one, I'm gonna even though I decided to paint the cabs, the coaches completely built to show you could, I'm going to take them apart and put lights and people in them. But to do that, I need the springs that I've got with the lighting set to revolve around the axle, and they ain't going to revolve around square axles. So I'm going to have to be careful that wherever I take my pickups from on the coach wheels, that I have at least 2 wheels at one end of the coach that have round axles on them, which at the moment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've got 12, so half of these are square. That's a pain, and it might mean that I have to use some of my new wheels that I bought from Peters to complete the task. But anyway, if someone can tell me why did they put square axles on, was it money saving? Was it cheaper to get a square bar than it was a round one? I've no idea, but if somebody does know, I'd love to know myself what the reason is. So we're going to shut off. Once these are dry, I'm going to chuck them back on the all 16 coaches are fully painted, all had the roofs weathered, and all had the chassis and the bogies and everything covered with frame dirt. So they're all at the same stage. I just haven't done the wheels for the other 8 carriages yet. But I'm going to chuck these on once they're dry, and then I'm going to wrap this video up. So I will at the end go through every stage that I've done, because as I've said, this video is very disjointed. I've done it when I've had time. Sometimes I haven't turned the camera on, so I don't know what I've explained and what I haven't explained. So I'm going to wrap it all up right at the end. We'll speak to you in a sec. Take 94. Okay, so let's do a summary on these. 16 of them. God, I wish I had sprayed them instead of trying to prove the point you could do it by hand. 3 coats of stain to 16 coaches took forever doing it by hand. Anyway, so Clean completely with isopropyl. Remove the numbers. There's only 3 of the coaches I've got original numbers on them because everything else is a duplicate. Fox Transfers supplied the replacements pre-numbered, just a case of whacking them on as you normally do, but we put 1 coat of the stain on before this transfer because it gave the gloss background and I can't see the backing sheet of the transfer. So do that. 3 coats in total on this: Ronseal, Woodstain, Antique Pine. Why Antique Pine when it's a teak coach? Because teak darkens as it gets older, and I thought I've got an antique stain which says darker. Had I used a teak stain, probably would have stayed somewhere near as light. So the roofs: plastic primer in a spray can bought from Amazon. Masked it all off, sprayed the roofs 2 coats, let it dry, and then hit it with Humbrol black weathering powder in varying degrees on each one. When that was set, blasted it over with some matte spray paint. I did at a later date quickly remask and put a little bit more black on because I was unhappy with them, and another coat of matte spray paint. Undercarriage, this sole bar here, there's varying colours of it. A lot of them tend to look like red oxide. I did look at the red oxide but didn't like it, it was too much in your face. So this colour that's on here is something that my daughter Isabel made up herself. She's quite the artist, and I said to her, get me something that's similar to this. Now the reason I did that and use it on the sole bars was here at these ends. Yes, they are a lot darker, not worried about that. I'll explain that in a second. But you will find on these Hornby coaches that there are a number of differences. You might have teak ends here and a black door, or you might have all of it black. So some of them we've just painted the door in to look like a wooden door, and some of them we've had to paint the ends in as well. Okay, now you can see on this one there is a little bit of detailing. We've got a vacuum pipe, we've got what will be a tail light. At the moment I didn't have any red ones, so I'll paint it red, and there is a hook under there. I couldn't put the chain because it will foul the connector when it goes on. So that was why we had that brown made up. So even those were, and these sidebars, 3 coats. Then I set about the under frames, which you can see I've done all of it. I didn't do under here because I didn't want it getting caught up in the wheel wells. You've just seen the little clip about how hard it was to get these wheels in there without smattering them full of paint. So I've done the entire underneath of all 16 coaches in frame dirt. I will put a bit of weathering on them when I am 100% finished, but they've had frame dirt, they've had a good coat of matte lacquer while the wheels were off. The wheels, as you know, I took off and put into those jigs to paint them and matte lacquer them, and you've seen the faff on I had putting them back in. Again, a quick reminder, let me know if anyone knows why some of these have got square axles. And the other thing is that I've also noticed that if you look here at the thickness of these, not the rim, the actual where it sits on the track, and then look at that one, there's a massive difference between some of them. And I will say that these with the square peg, for want of a better way of putting it, are exactly like that, rather chunky. And the other thing I noticed with these is you can see I've got my wheel spacer out, my back-to-back thing. They're a pig to get right. This one I've just had in my hand, as you can see, doesn't have a wheel on it, it's pinged off somewhere. It was so hard to get the wheels to move. I put the spacer thing on top and braid it with a hammer, and the wheel just went pew, and it was gone. So they seem to be not wanting to go into them. Now when I look at it a bit more, because of the thickness of these things, I think if you spaced it so it would fit in there, I mean, it kind of almost wants to go in, but all that you see happening is that the wheels go from perfectly straight to crooked when you're forcing it. So I've left well alone. But because of the thickness of them in here, I think if you space them out, there's no way they'd sit inside that bogie, or they would ride against the plastic and wouldn't be free running. So even though I'm not happy about it, I've had to live with it, I've had to accept it, and hey ho, move on, Paul. So we've done 16, as I said. There's a couple more there. We've got just regular coaches, as you can see, and we have an awful lot of these bloody things. The brake coaches, unfortunately, when you're buying these, it seems to be wherever you go they're selling at least one or two of them in the batch. So I have got 3 of the brake coaches. So I've got 2 8-car sets. So I'm going to put brake coach behind tender, 1 in the middle and 1 before the sleeper car, which will go on the very end of the run, hence why it's got, get it in shot, Paul, why it's got the tail light on. So that's my take on another way of making these darker, not using that Citadel paint or whatever else anyone else has used, just stuff that I had in the shed. As I said at the beginning of the video, I think it was either going to go wrong or it would work. So I'm happy with it. I did look at it and I still haven't made my mind up whether they are a little, this one not so much, actually they all should be like that now. Yeah, a lot of the shine that you saw was across this bottom. Now when I was doing these with the matte lacquer, I deliberately held the coach at an angle and pointed the nozzle down to catch this and that to take the shine off. And if I'm honest, this is the first time I've looked and it seems to have done it, because the wear just a little bit gaudy. The tops up here, they're still shiny. So I think what I'll do is when I get near the end and before I give them a little light weathering, I'll hand paint in some matte just to bring the shine down, because when in the original, when you just put the varnish on, they are a bit much. They are very shiny indeed. So there you go, my take on teak coaches. I am very happy with them, how they've come out, and they've made quite the difference. And now I've stupidly decided that the next thing I'm going to do is take them apart, because now I've decided, in the midst of doing this, these are meant to be going behind me 2 Scotsmans. In the midst of doing this, I want passengers in them and I want lights. I've bought the lighting kits off eBay. I think they were £5 and something, already made. They come with them spring pickups to go around your wheels so they can't go on the square ones. They come with the spring pickups, all the wiring, a capacitor, like a stay alive capacitor, resistors, and then a nice long strip of lights that you stick to the roof or wherever. So for £5 somewhere, yeah, I could probably have done it cheaper, but I'm not that technically minded on that sound of crap. And it would have took me forever to figure out what resistor, what capacitor, and I couldn't be bothered. So £5 a coach, thought, well, why not? That'll do. It'll give me what I'm looking for. So that's it. We're done with these for the time being. The next time you'll see these will be when I've took them apart, put the lights in, put people in. God, that'll take forever. And I will put the NEM pockets on and the couplers, but that's a dead easy job. Anyway, I hope this hasn't gone on too long. Thanks very much for watching. See you again.